Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair aboard the USS Vengeance, watching the stars through the bridge's main screen. The ship cut through space at maximum cruise speed, heading back to Earth after a routine patrol mission along the outer colonies. His crew had been away from home for 3 months, and everyone was looking forward to some well-deserved shore leave. The bridge was quiet except for the steady hum of the ship's engines and the occasional beep from the control panels. Lieutenant Commander Ben Parker stood at the navigation console, plotting their course home. Ensign Carl Davis monitored communications from his station near the back of the bridge. The atmosphere was relaxed, almost peaceful. The peace shattered when Davis suddenly straightened in his chair. His face went pale as he pressed his earpiece closer to his ear. The transmission was faint and full of static, but there was no mistaking the desperation in the voice coming through. "Captain, I'm receiving a distress signal," Davis called out, his voice cutting through the bridge's calm atmosphere. "It's coming from the Kepler 442 system, about 6 hours away at maximum speed." Morrison turned in his chair to face the communications officer. "Put it through the main speakers, Davis. Let's hear what we're dealing with." The bridge speakers crackled to life with a transmission that made everyone freeze. The voice was clearly human, male, probably middle-aged, but it was filled with terror and desperation that sent chills down every crew member's spine. "This is Captain Richard Blake of the colony ship New Dawn. We are under attack by unknown hostile forces. Repeat, we are under attack. Multiple ships down, heavy casualties. They came out of nowhere, weapons we've never seen before. We need immediate assistance. Our position is..." The transmission cut to static for several seconds before the voice returned, weaker now and barely audible. "They're boarding our ships. God help us. They're taking prisoners. If anyone receives this, stay away. This is a warning. They're not like anything we've prepared for. Tell Earth that the Thanksgiving dinner we planned for the colonists will have to wait. Tell my wife Martha that I love her." And the transmission died completely, leaving only empty static echoing through the bridge. Morrison felt his blood run cold. The New Dawn was a colony ship that had left Earth 2 years ago, carrying 5,000 settlers to establish a new world in the Kepler system. The mention of Thanksgiving dinner was exactly the kind of personal detail that proved this was genuine. Only someone who had been there during the pre-departure briefings would know about the colonists' plans for their first harvest celebration. "Davis, try to raise them again," Morrison ordered. Leaning forward in his command chair, the communications officer worked frantically at his console, adjusting frequencies and boosting signal strength. After several minutes, he shook his head grimly. "Nothing, sir. Complete radio silence from that sector." Morrison stood up and moved to the tactical display at the center of the bridge. The holographic star map showed their current position and the location where the distress call had originated. 6 hours at maximum speed would put them there by early morning, ship time. "Parker, plot a course for the Kepler 442 system, maximum speed," Morrison commanded. "And send a priority message to Admiral Carter at Fleet Command. Tell her we've received a distress call from the New Dawn and are responding immediately." Lieutenant Commander Parker's fingers flew over his console. Course plotted and laid in. "Sir, Admiral Carter should receive our transmission in about 20 minutes. The Vengeance changed course, its powerful engines pushing the ship toward maximum velocity. Throughout the vessel, crew members felt the slight increase in artificial gravity as the ship accelerated. In the mess hall, conversations stopped as sailors noticed their coffee cups tilting slightly. In engineering, Chief Petty Officer Sam Rodriguez checked his displays to make sure the sudden acceleration hadn't caused any problems with the ship's systems. Morrison paced the bridge, his mind racing through possibilities. Pirates were always a threat in the outer systems, but they usually avoided large colony ships because of their heavy escort fleets. The New Dawn had been traveling with 2 destroyer escorts and a supply vessel. Whatever had attacked them was powerful enough to overwhelm that kind of firepower. 30 minutes later, Davis looked up from his station with a grim expression. "Captain, incoming transmission from Fleet Command. It's Admiral Carter, priority 1. The main screen flickered and displayed the stern face of Admiral Lisa Carter. Her gray hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her uniform bore the stars and ribbons of someone who had seen plenty of combat during the Proxima Wars. Behind her, Morrison could see the busy operations center of Earth's orbital defense station. "Morrison, I've reviewed your report," Carter said without preamble. "This situation is extremely serious." The New Dawn was carrying not just colonists but also a significant amount of advanced terraforming equipment. "We cannot allow that technology to fall into hostile hands." Morrison nodded. "Understood, Admiral. What are your orders?" Carter's expression grew even more serious. "I'm authorizing immediate military response. You're getting reinforcements. The destroyers USS Rampage and USS Fury are being redirected to your position, along with the support vessels Intrepid and Guardian. Colonel Ryan Hayes is leading a full battalion of orbital Marines aboard the Intrepid." The captain felt a mix of relief and concern. The additional firepower would be welcome, but the fact that Carter was sending Marines suggested she expected ground combat. That meant the situation was even worse than the distress call had indicated. "The fleet will rendezvous with you at the edge of the Kepler system," Carter continued. "Major Amy Collins will be Hayes' second in command. She has experience with hostile first contact situations from the Proxima campaigns." Morrison had heard of Collins. She was known for her tactical brilliance and her ability to adapt quickly to unexpected threats. If Carter was sending her, the Admiral clearly expected serious trouble. "Sir, what about the colonists?" Morrison asked. "If they're still alive, that's your primary mission," Carter interrupted. "Rescue any survivors and assess the threat level. But Morrison, be careful. Unknown hostile forces with superior weapons could mean we're dealing with something entirely new. Earth security may depend on what you find out there." The transmission ended, leaving Morrison staring at the blank screen. Around him, his bridge. Crew worked quietly at their stations, but he could feel the tension in the air. Everyone understood what they were heading into. 5,000 innocent civilians were either dead or in the hands of an unknown enemy with weapons advanced enough to destroy military escort ships. Dr. Kate Williams entered the bridge from the turbolift, carrying her medical scanner and looking concerned. She had been monitoring the ship's communications and had heard the distress call. As the Vengeance's chief medical officer, she would be responsible for treating any survivors they might find. "Captain," she said quietly, "I've prepared medical. Bay 3 for mass casualties." "How many survivors should I expect?" Morrison looked at her with tired eyes. "I wish I knew, Doctor. I wish I knew." The USS Vengeance dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442 system, its sensors immediately beginning to sweep the area for signs of the missing colony ship. Captain Morrison stood on the bridge watching as the tactical displays filled with data. The system looked normal at first glance, but something felt wrong. Lieutenant Commander Ben Parker looked up from his navigation console with a puzzled expression. "Captain, I'm reading debris scattered across a wide area near the third planet. The pattern suggests multiple ship explosions, but the pieces are spread out over several thousand kilometers." Morrison moved to Parker's station and studied the readings. The debris field was huge, much larger than what a single colony ship would create even if completely destroyed. "Are you certain those are ship fragments?" "Yes, sir," Parker replied, adjusting his sensors for a closer look. "I'm detecting hull plating, engine components, and what appears to be sections of human-manufactured equipment. Some pieces match the construction signatures of colony transport vessels." Ensign Carl Davis turned from his communications station, his face pale with worry. "Captain, I'm picking up a faint emergency beacon. It's weak, but it's definitely human in origin. The signal is coming from coordinates near the largest concentration of debris." Before Morrison could respond, the bridge speakers crackled with an incoming transmission. It was Admiral Carter's voice, crisp and businesslike, despite the static from the long-range communication. "Morrison, this is Carter. The reinforcement fleet is 30 minutes out from your position. What's your initial assessment?" Morrison activated his communication unit. Admiral, we have a significant debris field consistent with multiple destroyed vessels. We're detecting at least 3 different ship signatures in the wreckage, possibly more. There's also an emergency beacon signal, but it's very weak. Any signs of hostile forces? Carter asked. Morrison looked at his tactical officer, Commander Nick Allen, who shook his head. Negative, Admiral. The system appears clear of any active threats. Whatever happened here, the attackers are long gone. Understood, Carter replied. Begin search and rescue operations immediately. The fleet will join you as soon as we arrive. Carter out. The communication ended, leaving Morrison to make the difficult decision of whether to wait for reinforcements or begin the search immediately. Every minute they delayed could mean the difference between life and death for any survivors, but rushing into an unknown situation had destroyed many ships before. Parker, take us closer to the debris field, but keep us at maximum sensor range, Morrison ordered. I want to know what we're dealing with before we commit to a rescue operation. The Vengeance moved slowly through space, its powerful sensors scanning every piece of debris they encountered. Dr. Kate Williams joined Morrison on the bridge, carrying her medical scanner and looking anxious. She had been preparing for casualties since they received the distress call, but the size of the debris field suggested there might be very few survivors to treat. Captain, Dr. Williams said quietly, I've been analyzing the emergency beacon signal. The life support readings are critical. If there are people alive in that wreckage, they don't have much time left. Commander Allen looked up from his tactical station with a grim expression. Sir, I'm reading the debris patterns more carefully now. The damage doesn't match any known pirate weapons or standard military equipment. These ships were hit with something that caused massive internal explosions, almost like they were torn apart from the inside. Morrison felt a chill run down his spine. The colony ship New Dawn had been escorted by 2 destroyers, both armed with the latest defensive systems Earth could provide. Whatever had attacked them was powerful enough to destroy military vessels designed to fight off entire pirate fleets. Davis, are you getting any response from that emergency beacon? Morrison asked. The communications officer worked at his console, trying to boost the signal and establish two-way communication. I'm getting something, sir, but it's very faint. There might be someone alive, but their transmitter is badly damaged. 20 minutes later, the reinforcement fleet arrived in a brilliant flash of light as 4 ships dropped out of hyperspace simultaneously. The destroyers USS Rampage and USS Fury took flanking positions around the Vengeance, while the support vessels Intrepid and Guardian moved into protective formation behind them. Morrison watched with satisfaction as the fleet settled into standard search formation. Colonel Ryan Hayes contacted him immediately from aboard the Intrepid, his voice steady and professional over the communication channel. Morrison, this is Hayes. My Marines are ready for immediate deployment if you locate survivors. What's the tactical situation? Unknown hostiles with superior weapons attacked and destroyed multiple vessels, Morrison replied. The debris field suggests at least 3 ships were completely destroyed, possibly more. We have 1 weak emergency beacon, but no confirmed survivors yet. Major Amy Collins' voice joined the conversation from her position aboard the Intrepid. Captain, my teams are equipped for hostile environment rescue operations. If there are people alive in that wreckage, we can get them out. Morrison appreciated the confidence in her voice, but he had seen too many rescue operations go wrong to feel optimistic. Major, be prepared for anything. The weapon signatures we're seeing don't match any known technology. The combined fleet moved closer to the debris field, with each ship scanning different sections of the wreckage. The Rampage's captain, Commander Troy Baker, reported finding pieces of what appeared to be the New Dawn's main hull, twisted and blackened by intense heat. Morrison, Baker's voice crackled over the communication channel. I'm looking at hull sections that have been melted, not exploded. Whatever hit these ships generated temperatures hot enough to liquefy titanium steel composite armor. Dr. Williams moved to Morrison's side, her medical scanner beeping softly as it detected faint life signs. Captain, I'm reading biological signatures from the emergency beacon location. There are definitely people alive, but their vital signs are very weak. Morrison made his decision. All ships, close formation on the beacon location. Hayes, prepare your Marines for immediate rescue deployment. Williams, get your medical teams ready for emergency treatment. The fleet moved into position around a cluster of debris that included what appeared to be an intact escape pod floating among the wreckage. The pod's hull was scarred and blackened, but its basic structure remained sound. Emergency lights flickered weakly along its sides, indicating that life support was still functioning but barely. Lieutenant Commander Parker coordinated the approach, guiding the Vengeance to within transporter range of the damaged pod. Captain, we're in position. The pod appears to contain 3 people, all unconscious but alive. Begin transport immediately, Morrison ordered. Get them to Medical Bay and have Dr. Williams examine them as soon as they're aboard. The rescue operation proceeded smoothly, with the survivors beamed directly to the ship's medical facility. But even as his crew worked to save lives, Morrison couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong with the entire situation. The debris field was too perfect, too evenly distributed. The escape pod had been floating in exactly the right position to be easily found. His instincts, honed by years of military service, were telling him that this was not what it appeared to be. But with survivors to save and a mystery to solve, Morrison pushed his doubts aside and focused on the mission at hand. The battle had been raging for 20 minutes when Captain Morrison noticed something that changed everything. The alien fleet wasn't trying to destroy them quickly anymore. Instead, they seemed to be studying every move the human ships made, almost like they were taking notes during a military exercise. Davis, patch me through to Admiral Carter on Priority Channel 7, Morrison ordered his communications officer. Use the emergency breakthrough codes. Ensign Carl Davis worked at his console, trying to punch through the alien jamming with a narrow beam transmission. After several tense minutes, he looked up with surprise. Sir, I'm getting through. The jamming has gaps in it, almost like they want us to be able to communicate. Admiral Carter's voice crackled through the static, but her words made Morrison's blood run cold. Morrison, this is Carter. Execute Protocol 7 immediately. Do you understand? Protocol 7? Morrison felt his heart skip a beat. Protocol 7 wasn't a rescue operation protocol. It was a deep space combat directive that only got used when Earth's security was directly threatened. But more importantly, it meant that Carter had been expecting this exact situation to develop. All ships, this is Morrison, he announced over the fleet communication channel. Execute Protocol 7 on my mark. Acknowledge when ready. The response from his captains was immediate and professional, but Morrison could hear the change in their voices. Protocol 7 meant the gloves were coming off. The human fleet was no longer operating as a rescue force. Commander Troy Baker's voice came through from the USS Rampage with deadly calm. Rampage ready for Protocol 7 execution. All weapon systems armed and targeting computers synchronized. Commander Julia Stone aboard the USS Fury confirmed her readiness with characteristic precision. Fury standing by. Marine strike teams prepared for boarding operations. Colonel Ryan Hayes checked in from the Intrepid with barely controlled enthusiasm. Ground forces ready for deployment. Major Collins has her assault team standing by for immediate action. Morrison looked around his bridge and saw that his crew had already begun implementing Protocol 7 procedures without being told. Their relaxed patrol demeanor had vanished, replaced by the focused intensity of combat veterans. These weren't just sailors anymore. They were hunters. Dr. Kate Williams approached Morrison with her medical scanner, but her expression wasn't concerned about casualties anymore. Instead, she looked grimly satisfied about something she had discovered. Captain, I finished analyzing those survivors we rescued, she said quietly. They're not human. Genetic scans show there's some kind of alien species using sophisticated biological mimicry to appear human. Their memories of the attack were implanted, probably using advanced neural programming. Morrison nodded grimly. He had suspected as much when the alien tactics didn't match the weapon signatures from the debris field. The entire rescue operation had been an elaborate trap, but not the kind the aliens had intended. "All ships, Mark," Morrison announced. "Execute Protocol 7 now." What happened next would have shocked any observer who thought they understood. Human military capabilities. The 5 ships of the rescue fleet didn't just fight back against the alien ambush. They transformed into something entirely different. The USS Vengeance's hull plates shifted and rotated, revealing weapon systems that hadn't been visible during their approach to the system. Hidden missile launchers emerged from concealed compartments, while energy cannons that had been disguised as sensor arrays powered up with deadly purpose. The other ships underwent similar transformations. What the aliens had assumed were lightly armed patrol vessels revealed themselves to be heavily armed warships, designed specifically for deep space combat operations. Lieutenant Commander Ben Parker coordinated the fleet's new formation with practiced efficiency, all ships moving to hunter formation, targeting computers linked and synchronized. We have firing solutions on 36 enemy vessels. The alien fleet, which had been confidently closing in for what they expected to be an easy victory, suddenly found themselves facing something they hadn't prepared for. The human ships weren't trying to escape anymore. Instead, they were maneuvering with predatory intent, their weapons seeking targets with deadly precision. Commander Nick Allen's tactical display showed the full extent of their new capabilities. "Captain, all weapon systems online. Our true firepower is approximately 4 times what the enemy's calculations assumed." Morrison smiled grimly as he watched the alien formation begin to waver. Their coordinated attack pattern was starting to break down as individual ships tried to deal with weapon systems they hadn't known existed. "Target the alien command ship," Morrison ordered. Full spread of quantum torpedoes, synchronized with the Rampage and Fury. Let's see how their shields handle our real weapons. The 3 human warships fired simultaneously, their advanced torpedoes streaking across space toward the large alien vessel at the center of the enemy formation. The weapons were designed to penetrate any known shield technology, and they performed exactly as intended. The alien command ship's shields collapsed under the coordinated assault, and the torpedoes detonated against its hull with devastating effect. The explosion lit up space like a small star, and the massive alien vessel began to list to one side as secondary explosions rippled along its length. But the human fleet wasn't finished. Major Amy Collins launched her Marine strike teams in heavily armed boarding pods that shot across space toward damaged alien vessels. These weren't rescue operations. They were capture missions designed to secure alien technology and prisoners for interrogation. Colonel Hayes coordinated fighter squadrons that emerged from hidden launch bays aboard the support vessels. The fighters moved with tactics that combined human aggression with precision flying, striking at alien ships that had been weakened by the main fleet's assault. The aliens began to realize they had made a terrible mistake. Their intelligence about human capabilities had been completely wrong. What they thought was a small rescue fleet was actually an advanced combat force that had been waiting for exactly this kind of encounter. Morrison watched with satisfaction as the alien formation continued to crumble. Individual enemy ships began trying to retreat, but the human fleet had positioned itself to prevent any escape. The hunters had become the hunted, and the aliens were learning too late what human military doctrine really looked like. "Captain," Davis reported with excitement, "I'm intercepting alien communications. They're calling for reinforcements, but they're also transmitting what sounds like tactical assessments of our capabilities back to their home fleet." Morrison's expression grew even more predatory. The aliens weren't just losing this battle. They were providing Earth's military with valuable intelligence about enemy locations, fleet strengths, and communication protocols. The trap had indeed been sprung, but not the way anyone had expected. The alien fleet was falling apart under the human assault, but Captain Morrison knew the real battle was just beginning. The enemy ships that remained were broadcasting desperate messages in their own language, and Dr. Kate Williams was working frantically to translate their communications. "Captain," Dr. Williams called out from her position near the communication console, "I'm picking up their transmissions." They're calling humans something that translates roughly to void demons or star killers. They seem genuinely terrified of our combat capabilities. Morrison watched his tactical display as Major Amy Collins' Marine boarding team successfully breached 3 alien vessels. The Marines were encountering resistance, but they were systematically capturing enemy crew members and securing alien technology with ruthless efficiency. "Collins, report," Morrison commanded through his communication unit. Major Collins' voice came back steady despite the sounds of combat in the background. "Captain, we've secured the alien navigation computer from their scout ship. These creatures have detailed intelligence files on dozens of species they've attacked and destroyed. Humans were just their latest target." The revelation sent a chill through Morrison's bridge crew. These aliens weren't random raiders or pirates. They were systematic exterminators who had been hunting down and eliminating entire civilizations across the galaxy. Lieutenant Commander Ben Parker looked up from his navigation station with horror in his eyes. "Sir, if Major Collins is right, that means they've been studying us for months, maybe years. They knew exactly how to fake that distress call because they've been intercepting our communications." Commander Nick Allen's tactical analysis confirmed Parker's fears. "Captain, the debris field we found wasn't from the New Dawn. It was constructed from wreckage they collected from previous attacks on human shipping. They used real human technology to make the bait look authentic." Morrison felt anger building in his chest as he realized the full scope of the alien deception. Somewhere out there, the real New Dawn and its 5,000 colonists were either dead or captured. The enemy had used their deaths to create a trap designed to eliminate Earth's military response capability. Ensign Carl Davis interrupted his thoughts with an urgent report. "Captain, I'm detecting massive energy signatures approaching from the edge of the system. It looks like the main human battle fleet just arrived." The tactical display updated to show a formation of over 30 human warships dropping out of hyperspace in perfect attack formation. Admiral Carter's flagship, the massive battleship USS Thunderbolt, led the fleet with its weapon systems already powered and ready for combat. "Morrison, this is Admiral Carter," came the familiar voice over the communication channel. "Excellent work springing our own trap. Now let's finish what these aliens started." Morrison realized with growing amazement that the entire rescue operation had been planned from the beginning. Earth's military had known about the alien threat and had used the fake distress call as an opportunity to draw the enemy into a battle on human terms. The alien survivors in the system found themselves facing a nightmare scenario. What they had thought was a small human patrol force had revealed itself to be an advanced combat unit. Now they were confronting the full might of Earth's space navy, and their technological advantage was proving to be an illusion. Colonel Ryan Hayes coordinated his fighter squadrons as they swarmed around the remaining alien vessels like angry wasps. The human pilots flew with a combination of technical skill and aggressive tactics that the aliens clearly hadn't encountered before. "Morrison," Hayes reported, "these alien ships are powerful, but their tactics are predictable. They fight like they've never faced an enemy that actually fights back. Every species they've attacked before must have been peaceful or defenseless." Commander Julia Stone aboard the USS Fury had successfully disabled the alien command ship and was preparing to board it with a full assault team. Her voice carried the satisfaction of a hunter who had cornered dangerous prey. "Captain, we're going aboard their flagship. If there are any survivors from the colonies they've attacked, they'll be held on the command vessel. My teams are equipped for prisoner extraction." Dr. Williams continued monitoring alien communications as the battle reached its conclusion. The enemy messages were becoming increasingly panicked as they realized they were facing total defeat at the hands of a species they had underestimated. "Captain," she reported, "they're transmitting what appears to be a warning to their home fleet. They're describing human combat capabilities as far beyond what their intelligence had predicted. They're recommending immediate evacuation of all alien forces from human territory." Morrison smiled grimly as he watched the last few alien ships attempt to retreat from the system. The human fleet had positioned itself to prevent any escape, and the aliens were learning what it meant to be hunted by a species that had perfected warfare through thousands of years of constant conflict. All ships, capture operations only. Admiral Carter commanded over the fleet communication channel. We need prisoners and technology for intelligence purposes. These aliens have information about other species they've attacked, and we're going to make them share it. The final phase of the battle was swift and decisive. Human ships surrounded each remaining alien vessel and forced them to surrender through overwhelming firepower. Marines boarded every enemy ship, securing prisoners and capturing technology that would help Earth understand the scope of the alien threat. Major Collins reported from aboard the alien flagship with news that made Morrison's heart sink. Captain, we found evidence of attacks on over 40 different civilizations. The aliens have been systematically eliminating any species that might eventually become a threat to their expansion. But there was also good news. Hidden in the alien ship's holding cells, Collins' teams found nearly 200 prisoners from various species, including 37 human colonists who had been captured during previous raids. Medical teams to the alien flagship immediately, Morrison ordered. Get those prisoners to safety and provide emergency medical treatment. Dr. Williams gathered her medical staff and prepared for the complex task of treating alien species with unknown biology. But her first priority would be the human survivors, who had endured captivity aboard enemy vessels. As the battle concluded, Morrison looked around his bridge and saw the satisfied expressions of a crew that had just participated in a perfectly executed military operation. The aliens had set a trap, but they had walked into a much larger and more sophisticated trap set by humanity. The hunters had become the hunted. And the galaxy was about to learn what happened when someone threatened Earth and its colonies. The human response wouldn't be defensive. It would be a systematic campaign to eliminate the alien threat completely, using the same ruthless efficiency the aliens had employed against defenseless civilizations. 3 hours after the battle ended, Captain Morrison stood in the interrogation room aboard Admiral Carter's flagship, watching as the alien commander called Vex Prime sat shackled in a specially designed chair. The creature looked like a tall, thin humanoid with gray skin and large black eyes that showed intelligence and growing fear. Dr. Kate Williams had been working with the translation computer to establish communication with the prisoner. The aliens' language was complex, but their technology was advanced enough to create a basic translation matrix. The creature calls itself a strategic planning specialist, Dr. Williams explained to Morrison and Admiral Carter. It was responsible for gathering intelligence on human capabilities and designing the trap that brought us here. Admiral Carter leaned forward in her chair, studying the alien with cold eyes. Ask it about the other species they've destroyed. We need to know the full scope of their operations. Dr. Williams spoke to the alien in its own language through the translation device. Vex Prime's response came back in accented but understandable English through the computer. My people have eliminated 43 spacefaring civilizations over the past 2 centuries, the alien said with what sounded like pride. We identify species that might eventually threaten our expansion and destroy them before they can develop dangerous technology. Morrison felt anger building in his chest as he listened to the casual way the alien described genocide. Ask it about the human colonies. How many of our people have they killed? The alien's response made Morrison's hands clench into fists. We have attacked 17 human settlements and captured over 3,000 of your people for study. Your species was marked for elimination after our scouts observed your rapid technological advancement. Admiral Carter's expression remained calm, but Morrison could see the deadly intent in her eyes. Tell it that its people made a serious mistake. Humanity doesn't just defend itself. We hunt down threats and eliminate them completely. When Dr. Williams translated this message, Vex Prime's large eyes seemed to grow even larger with what looked like genuine terror. The alien began speaking rapidly in its own language before the translator could catch up. It's saying that human combat capabilities far exceed their intelligence estimates, Dr. Williams reported. They expected us to be technologically advanced but militarily inexperienced. Instead, They discovered that humans have turned warfare into an advanced science. Colonel Ryan Hayes entered the interrogation room with a datapad containing intelligence gathered from the captured alien ships. His expression was grim as he handed the information to Admiral Carter. "Admiral, we've downloaded their complete database of targeted civilizations," Hayes reported. "They've been systematically destroying any species that shows signs of becoming a spacefaring threat. Humans were just the latest on their list." Carter studied the datapad with growing anger. "How many other species are they currently planning to attack?" Hayes checked his notes before responding. 7 civilizations are under active surveillance with attacks planned within the next 5 years. 3 of them are already spacefaring and have established colonies on multiple worlds. Morrison realized the implications immediately. "Admiral, if we don't act quickly, these aliens will continue their genocide campaign against innocent civilizations. We have an opportunity to stop them permanently." Admiral Carter turned back to the alien prisoner with a smile that would have frightened a human. "Tell our guest that humanity has decided to take a more active role in galactic affairs. We're going to prevent any future attacks on peaceful civilizations." When Dr. Williams translated this message, Vex Prime began struggling against its restraints. With obvious panic, the alien's response came through the translator with unmistakable desperation. "My people control a fleet of over 2,000 warships spread across dozens of star systems," the alien said. "You cannot possibly defeat our entire military force with your small fleet." Admiral Carter's smile grew wider and more predatory. "Dr. Williams, please explain to our guest that this wasn't our entire fleet. What it encountered here was just an advanced scouting force designed to assess alien capabilities." The truth behind Carter's words began to dawn on Morrison as he realized the full scope of Earth's military preparation. The rescue mission had never been about saving colonists. It had been a carefully planned intelligence operation designed to study the alien threat and capture their technology. Major Amy Collins joined the group in the interrogation room with another report that confirmed Morrison's suspicions. "Admiral, we've completed our analysis of the alien ships. Their technology is advanced, but it's specialized for attacking defenseless targets. They're not equipped to fight against an enemy that fights back effectively," Dr. Williams continued, her translation work as Vex Prime became increasingly agitated. "The alien is asking what humans intend to do with the information they've gathered about its people's military capabilities." Admiral Carter stood up and moved closer to the alien prisoner. When she spoke, her voice carried the authority of someone who had made decisions that affected the fate of entire civilizations. "Tell it that humanity is going to do exactly what its people have been doing to innocent civilizations for the past 2 centuries. We're going to systematically hunt down and destroy every alien military installation, every warship, and every base they use to launch their genocide campaigns." The alien's response was immediate and filled with terror. Through the translator, its voice came out as a desperate plea. "My people will negotiate. We can establish boundaries, create treaties, avoid future conflicts with your species." Morrison stepped forward and looked directly into the alien's large black eyes. "Negotiations were possible before your people started murdering human colonists. Now there's only one acceptable outcome." Admiral Carter nodded with satisfaction as she made her final decision. "Dr. Williams, inform our guests that one ship from their fleet will be allowed to return to alien space. It will carry a message to their military commanders explaining exactly what happened here and what they can expect in the future." When the translation was complete, Vex Prime sat in stunned silence for several minutes before speaking again. "What message will the surviving ship carry?" Carter's response was delivered with the calm certainty of someone who had already won a war before most people knew it had started. "The message is simple. Humanity knows where they are, how many ships they have, and how to defeat their technology. Any further attacks on peaceful civilizations will result in the complete destruction of their empire. The galaxy's newest spacefaring species isn't prey. We're the apex predator, and we're done being patient with genocidal neighbors." The interrogation ended with Vex Prime being escorted back to its holding cell, while Admiral Carter began planning the systematic elimination of an alien empire that had underestimated humanity's capacity for strategic thinking and overwhelming violence. The alien command ship hung dead in space, its hull scarred and blackened from the human assault. Captain Morrison walked through its corridors alongside Major Amy Collins, both wearing combat armor and breathing masks as they surveyed the technology that had been used to hunt down innocent civilizations across the galaxy. "Captain, you need to see this," Collins called from what appeared to be the ship's main computer center. The room was filled with displays showing star charts, species profiles, and detailed attack plans that painted a horrifying picture of systematic genocide. Morrison studied the alien displays with growing disgust. Each screen showed a different civilization that had been targeted for destruction, complete with population estimates, technological assessments, and planned elimination schedules. Humanity had been just one entry in a catalog of species marked for extinction. Dr. Kate Williams joined them in the computer center, carrying her translation device and looking pale from what she had discovered in the ship's medical bay. "Captain, I've been examining the alien research facilities. They've been studying captured humans to understand our biology and psychology. What did they learn?" Morrison asked. Though he wasn't sure he wanted to hear the answer, Dr. Williams activated her translation device and pulled up files from the alien database. According to their research, they concluded that humans were unusually aggressive and adaptable compared to other species they'd encountered. But they made a critical error in their assessment. Morrison waited for her to continue. As Collins monitored the doorway for any remaining alien crew members who might still be hiding in the ship's damaged sections, they assumed that human aggression was a primitive trait that would make us easier to defeat in direct combat, Dr. Williams explained. They didn't understand that our violent history had actually made us more effective at warfare, not less. The irony wasn't lost on Morrison. The aliens had studied humanity's constant wars and conflicts throughout history, but they had interpreted that information completely wrong. They thought human violence was a weakness when it was actually humanity's greatest military advantage. Admiral Carter's voice crackled through Morrison's communication unit from her flagship. "Morrison, prepare the alien prisoner for transport. We're going to send it home with a message that will end this war before it really begins." Morrison acknowledged the order and made his way back to the holding area where the alien strategic planner Vex Prime was being kept under heavy guard. The creature had been silent since its capture, but its large black eyes showed intelligence and growing understanding of its situation. Lieutenant Commander Ben Parker met Morrison outside the holding cell with a datapad containing the complete intelligence package they had gathered from the captured alien fleet. "Captain, we've downloaded everything. Ship locations, military capabilities, command structures, and communication protocols for their entire empire." Morrison reviewed the data with satisfaction. The aliens had intended to use their fake distress call to study human military capabilities, but instead they had provided Earth with complete intelligence about their own forces. The hunters had become the hunted in the most complete way possible. Colonel Ryan Hayes approached with a squad of Marines, escorting the alien prisoner toward the transport shuttle that would take it back to human space. Vex Prime walked with dignity despite its restraints, but Morrison could see fear in its movements. "The shuttle is ready, Captain," Hayes reported. "One of the captured alien scout ships has been prepared for the return journey. It has enough fuel to reach the nearest alien military base, and we've programmed the navigation computer with the correct course." Morrison nodded and turned to address the alien prisoner directly through Dr. Williams' translation device. "Your people made a serious mistake when they decided to hunt humans. Now you're going to deliver a message that will prevent any future attacks on peaceful civilizations." Vex Prime's response came through the translator with what sounded like resignation. "What message will I carry to my commanders?" Admiral Carter had arrived aboard the alien command ship and answered the question herself. "You're going to tell them exactly what happened here. How a small human rescue fleet destroyed an entire alien battle group. How Earth's military was ready for your attack because we've been tracking your movements for months. The alien's eyes grew wider as Carter continued. But most importantly, you're going to explain that this was just the beginning. Humanity has decided that species who commit genocide against innocent civilizations need to be stopped permanently. Dr. Williams translated Carter's words, and Vex Prime began speaking rapidly in its own language. When the translation came through, its voice carried obvious desperation. My people will withdraw from human territory immediately. We will establish boundaries and avoid all future contact with your species. Carter's expression remained cold and determined. That's not good enough. We know about the other civilizations you're planning to attack. We have the locations of your military bases and the schedules for your genocide campaigns. Morrison watched as the full implications of Earth's decision began to dawn on the alien prisoner. Humanity wasn't just going to defend itself. They were going to take an active role in preventing future alien attacks on any peaceful species. Your empire has two choices, Carter continued through the translator. Complete withdrawal from all occupied territories and the release of all prisoners from the civilizations you've destroyed, or systematic destruction of every alien military installation by Earth's combined fleets. Vex Prime was loaded aboard the prepared scout ship along with complete recordings of the battle and detailed intelligence about human military capabilities. As the alien vessel departed for its home territory, Morrison couldn't help but feel satisfaction at the message it would deliver. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's response to threats wasn't defensive. It was aggressively protective of any species that couldn't defend itself against genocidal neighbors. Admiral Carter gathered her senior officers on the bridge of the captured alien flagship as they watched the messenger ship disappear into hyperspace. Gentlemen, prepare the fleet for extended operations. We have an empire to dismantle and innocent civilizations to protect. Morrison looked out at the stars and realized that the fake distress call had accomplished something the aliens never intended. It had announced humanity's arrival as the galaxy's newest apex predator, and the hunting season was about to begin. The SOS had indeed been a trap, but the nightmare was just beginning for anyone who threatened peaceful civilizations in human space.